Hey folks, this is Kerry. It's just after 10 p.m. and I got a little story to tell. My friend from the Navy, Chris Montana, he's writing a book and he sent me a preview and I just read it. He sent it to me a long time ago, like several weeks ago, and I just finally got to read it. It was funny, I gave a tour today and I actually talked about him during the tour. And a few minutes later, I got a text message from him. I was like, wow, that was crazy. So, up here in the mountains, a couple of months ago, he came to visit me because he wanted to try to hike back to the spot where he fell off the mountain. And I saved him from falling further down the mountain, and so he accredits me with saving his life. And he wanted to try to find a way back to where it was that he fell. And so I had the idea, because you can't really access it from the way that we originally went, which was up the face of Manoa Falls on the left side. They did a lot of abatement to prevent people from climbing up there, and so you can't reach it from that way. But we went up that and then back down another way. So I had the idea, let's go in reverse order. Let's go up the way we came down. And so we went and we finally found the spot. Anyway, so during my tour today, I told the story of Naupaka and about how, there's the beach Naupaka and then there's the mountain Naupaka. And I found the mountain Naupaka up in the trails where I hike up there. And one of the most recent times that I found it was the time that me and Chris, or Monte as I called him, because his last name is Montana, Chris Montana, found it again on that trail just a couple of months ago when we hiked that. So I assumed when he sent me the copy of the book, the preview, and he said that I played a big role in the book, I assumed that it was going to be his story of how I saved his life. But I just thumbed through it and I couldn't find that. But I found another story where he mentions me, and that was when we were in Japan. And we took the overnight ferry to Hakaido to go to the Sapporo Snow Festival, the ice festival where they make the ice sculptures. And funny thing is that during my tour today, when I told the lady about Chris and how we did that hike and found the Naupaka and the spot where he fell and everything, I said, he's writing a book about his life, but the problem is that I'm afraid that he might get some things wrong, because he had a ski accident when we were in Japan and he hit his head and he's lost a lot of his memory, and so he has a lot of things really jumbled up. Like, for instance, he keeps asking me, remember the time that me and you kayaked out to Chinaman's Hat? I was like, bro, I've never even been to Chinaman's Hat. I've never kayaked ever. I've never kayaked anywhere. I've never been to Chinaman's Hat. That wasn't me. And he's like, hey, are you sure? He still keeps asking me, are you sure it wasn't you? Don't you remember this and don't you remember that? And so he's got a lot of things wrong. And so I was looking for where he must have written about the hike where he fell off the mountain. But what I found was him telling the story of us going to the Sapporo Snow Festival. And so I just read it, and it's like, what? Most of the stuff that he tells in that story did not happen. So it's like he embellished a whole bunch of the story, but I don't know if that's just the way he remembers it, but that's just not the way it went down. But so here's the story. So we were in Misawa, Japan, which is in northern Japan, just outside of the town of Hachinoi. And so in order to get to Sapporo, which is in Hakaido, which is another island north of Honshu Island, the main island, we took an overnight ferry from Hachinohe up to Makamai, something like that, a really complicated name town that's on the coast, and then you go inland to get to Sapporo. And so we took the overnight ferry, and before going, we decided to get some food and some drinks, and we couldn't find an ice chest big enough to put the ice and the beer and the food in. And what we ended up getting was like a big plastic, like Tupperware thing with a lid, almost like a storage container. And so we filled that with ice, put the beer in there and the food. His girlfriend brought stuff to make sandwiches, like sandwich spread and some bread. And so when we got on the ferry, there wasn't seats. There was just like little rooms with like straw mats on the ground, on the floor. So we went in, we picked a compartment, went to the far corner and set our stuff down. Started opening up the food. His girlfriend Joan started making the sandwiches, and then all of the other people started coming into the space, and they all started spreading out stuff on the floor, and then they turned off the lights and everybody started going to sleep. And we were like, because we were like ready to party, man. We brought beer and food and stuff, and now everybody's going to sleep because it's an overnight ferry. I guess it's like a work ferry, like they're going from one place to another in order to go to work or something like that, and so they're going to sleep. And so we were like, oh, what do we do now? So we picked up our stuff and we went outside to a common area, and there was a little place where there was like arcade games. And so we went in there and we were checking that stuff out. And then Monte and Jim decided to do an arm wrestling contest. And so they did that. And then there were some young Japanese college students that were there and saw this. And so one of their guys decided that they wanted to challenge the winner of that contest, which was Monte. Monte won the contest. Monte's a big guy. He's from New Jersey. He plays hockey. So this Japanese college student challenges Monte to an arm wrestling contest. And so, of course, Monte won. And it was over. And so then Jim, who had been in Japan longer than the rest of us, and he was kind of the one that was guiding us because he knew what to do and stuff. And anyway, he tells Chris or Monte that, hey, you should offer that guy a beer because you made him lose face. And so we offered him a beer, or Monte offered him a beer, and they were like, oh, heck, we got a lot of beer. We offered the rest of their people a beer. I think it was like 2 guys and 2 girls. And then we ended up standing around the cooler, and somehow we got on to doing karaoke of like American songs. And the one Japanese guy was like, thought he was really cool because he could do Axl Rose. And we ended up singing karaoke all night, and just I learned the word dozo because every time we finished a beer and we were ready for another round, Jim would open the lid to the ice chest and point and say dozo, as in, would you like to have another beer? Dozo basically in Japanese means like you're welcome to. So you're welcome to another beer. Would you like another beer? And so we did karaoke, and then at one point, one of the old men came out from where everyone else is sleeping, and he was upset because we were singing and making noise, and he's trying to sleep, and he came to yell at us. But the funny thing is that he didn't yell at us. He singled out one of the girls, and he yelled at her. And Jim explained later that the reason he did that is because he knew that the girl would not argue back with him. I think the girl might have been the girl that I thought was cute. I remember her telling me that her name in Japanese was like one of the many names for snowflake. So it was like, Asahi or something like that, but it was a Japanese word for snowflake. But so yeah, so we did the karaoke for a while, and then we kind of got cut off by that, and then we decided to go outside, and oh my God, it was cold. So we're going from northern Honshu up to Hakaido, and it was so cold. I couldn't last outside for very long. But anyway, we got to, was it Tamakamai? Anyway, we got up there. We had to catch a shuttle or something up to Sapporo, and then we walked around, saw the ice sculptures. And then at one point, I was taking pictures of this snow sculpture, and one of the other guys had stayed with me, and I think his name was Chris. It was another Chris. And then after taking the picture, we turned around, and the rest of the group was gone. So Monte, Joni, and Jim, and whoever else was with us were just gone. And we spent the rest of the day looking for them. It like ruined our trip. And the weird thing is too, is since Jim was kind of the one in charge, kind of taking the lead, for some reason at one point he said, "Hey, everybody give me your tickets for the boat ride back, and I'll hold on to your tickets." And then we lost them. We went up, there was kind of like an RKO type tower, one of those kind of like weird radio towers that you see Godzilla knocking down. We went up into that tower, and we were just trying to get a vantage point to look down to see if maybe we saw them. I told Chris the story later, and he says, "Oh yeah, we actually went in that tower at one point that day too." But later we found out that they had actually gone to the Sapporo beer factory. But me and the other guy, we just spent our entire day looking for them, and so it kind of ruined the trip for us. Jim has our tickets for the boat ride back to mainland Japan for us to get home. So we never found them. Got down to the very last shuttle back to where the ferry was in order for us to catch the ferry back from Hakaido back to Honshu, the main island of Japan. Caught the very last shuttle down there, was waiting around. The boat was about to leave, and we were scraping together the last of our money to purchase another ticket to get on the boat. And we were like, okay, well, let's wait, maybe they'll show up, let's wait. And then finally we were like, okay, that's it, we have to buy another ticket. And we walk up to the counter to buy a ticket, and then all of a sudden a taxi comes speeding around the corner, the doors fly open, and here they come, just in the nick of time.